Welcome back to Stay at Home with GWD series. So today we have another important guest, and we will be talking about digital marketing. So let's wait for him to get connected. Hello there. Hi guys. Let me see if Luca is connected. No, not yet. Hi. We are just waiting for the guest to connect. Let me see. Hello everybody. Hello everybody. Let me see. Hello guys. No. Wait. I'm fine. I'm just waiting for the guest to connect, so please be patient. Hi Antoniette. Hi. Ciao Giacomo. Ciao Chris. Where is the man? Luca. Ciao ragazzi. Ciao Thibaut. Where is the guy? Today we will be talking about digital marketing, and I'm waiting for Luca to connect. Where is Luca? Wait guys. Just few moments guys, be patient. So sorry guys, we have some technical difficulties with the guest, so be patient. Thanks for joining, thanks for waiting. Hello guys. Let's wait for Luca to join us. Oh, perfect. So now Luca joined us. Let's see if he's accepting the invitation. Oh, perfect.
Can you see me?
Yes, very well.
Okay. Let me fix my phone, more or less. As you might know, I'm short-sighted, so let me know if you can see me regularly and if you can hear me.
Yes, we can see you very well and we can hear you okay.
Okay. I'm trying.
So
sorry for the late. To be late is my fault, but I think we are all set, so we can start.
Okay, no problem, no problem. So actually, thank you very much, Luca, for joining us. It's an honor for me to have you live on this stay at home with GWD series. And I'm very, very proud of having you, my friend, with us today. So the topic for today is about digital marketing. And I will shortly pass to you in order to introduce yourself. Luca is, for me, a very special friend, a person who followed Gentleman's Wear Daily since day one, and it helped me a lot during those almost 8 years to keep on doing the things I'm doing, to give me advices, and I'm very, very grateful. So please, Luca, introduce yourself, and then we can start the live session.
Okay, just a few words about myself, which is always embarrassing to describe his own career, but let me just put two things clear. I'm an economist, so I'm not a marketing expert. I grew up as an economist. I was trained as an economist, first at the University of Siena, which is my hometown. Then I had the privilege of living 11 years of my life in New York, from 1993 to 2003. During those years, I did my PhD in economics, so I'm a professional economist, trained as an economist. Then, once I came back in Italy, I developed two passions mostly. One is design, the history of design, what in Italian we call modernariato, and in English would be mid-century modern. This is the technical word, this is the proper word to describe modernariato in English. And at the same time, all the universe of fashion and how technology, the development of technology was interacting with fashion communication and fashion marketing. Then, by complete chance, I met with Fabrizio, and over the last, I think, 3 years, we are collaborating, co-teaching a small, what in Italian is called modulo, but I would say some tiny class on let's say, microeconomics of luxury at the University of the Cattolica University of Milan. And during this experience that we shared together, we discussed about several things. I mean, we started with internet marketing, but then once we touch these topics, the discussion always overlaps with broader issues. And if you are giving me the opportunity this afternoon, I would start from a small circle, which is our tiny world of digital marketing, the things we like, the things we do. But then I would also take the opportunity of taking another bigger opportunity, which is the tragic moment in which we are all trapped together, and to sketch also some silver lining which this dramatic situation offers us as possibilities for the future.
Okay, please.
Okay, let me start with the basics, what I would say. So you started GWD, and GWD has been a daily companion for me. Also during my blue days. I had some blue days over the last years, and what I learned from your experience, in general, from the experience of people sharing your profession, is that you did exploit very efficiently what we in our job we call the long tail. We discuss it so many times that I don't even remember when we started. Basically, long tail means that people realized very shortly, frankly speaking, very shortly, that the great opportunities provided by internet was the possibility of switching from a mass market logic. So the logic of looking for products which were plug and play, ready-made for mass markets, to a different strategy. That was the strategy of individuating, pointing out those niches. So passing from mass market to a mass of markets, those niches which mostly everyone could find his own way to say something, to sell something, but also to tell a story about something. This was extraordinary. At the beginning, Facebook and other media were the other social media were ruling the game. But then, as we all know, Instagram took over basically the monopoly of the market, and we witnessed over the last years an explosion of influencers, brand ambassadors, storytellers. We can play with words, but many people who have taken advantage of the digital revolution. Was the digital revolution something just which changed the way we sell? No, it was something much more complex. First of all, it was a dematerialization of the product in some cases. So all the brick and mortar shop had to somehow pass with respect of the possibility, think about music and movies, of the dematerialization of the very product. So it's typical. The example that we always bring in this case is the sudden death of Blockbuster. When I was in my younger shoes, I still remember that I would spend hours in New York City in Tower Records or Virgin Records. Those are memories. Those are things which, of course, don't exist anymore. But the transformation brought about by the digital revolution was deeper, because it was not just the way you sell and you distribute a product, but it's a transformation in the way you tell a story about the product, in which you communicate about the product, in which you can target the people to whom you want to address your communication. And this is where people like you were able to surf the wave. You had to face a huge wave, and you could surf it, and you could create your own expertise, and you could forge the tools which allow you now to be a professional in what you're doing. And this allowed many people to find not just a niche, but a constellation of niches. What I don't like, for instance, is when people think about street market as a niche. Street market is a universe. Is a universe of languages, is a universe of cultures, is a universe of subcultures. So what we did witness at the beginning of the digital marketing revolution was that many subcultures became niches. And many niches, thanks to the power of the web, thanks to the power of the digital marketing, became from subculture, from underground culture, became mainstream. Again, let me exploit the most exploited example that we can bring. Think about Supreme. Supreme started as a tiny shop, allegedly with 4 people, but the story, I think, is much more complex than this. Connected to the culture of skateboard universe, which is not a culture, it's another universe, skateboarding. And then, after many years, less than 10 years, Supreme was mainstream. So this was the first phase of the digital revolution, which, again, people like you were extremely good in not just exploiting, but as I say, surfing. You had to face this huge wave. And if you are smart enough, if you are good enough, you can surf. Then we had the second phase, which is again very interesting. Once digital marketing, digital communication, internet, social media allowed all these niches to come up and to be targeted So you had street culture, you had Japanese street culture, you had bespoke culture, you had several niches, several identities, several narratives, several stories to be told. Then what we witnessed was the following step. Okay, we now have all these niches. We now have all these markets, these mass markets, which has been transformed in a mass of markets. What is next? To collaborate, to communicate, to merge and to tell a story together. Over the last, for at least 7 years, 5 years, we had this crazy fever of collaboration. Everyone was collaborating with everyone. You had Supreme with Vuitton, you had Balenciaga, Vuitton with Crocs, even too much for certain aspects. Once I had one of my students to count the number of collaboration with Adidas, with Stan Smith, and other brands. We collaborated with Stan Smith, and we came up to an unbelievable number, especially for my own generation, that I witnessed the start, the birth of the Stan Smith, and they were in just one model, white with the green tag of Adidas.
Yes.
But we all know that even in the case of collaboration, we went too much far. It was almost grotesque at a certain point. You had so many cross-fertilization between brands that people start making jokes. Think about, in some cases, these jokes then became reality. The Fila Fendi started as a bootleg, then was actually realized, but at the beginning people were making fun of. At a certain point, when too much is too much,
I know.
You start facing decreasing returns. And this was roughly 2 years ago that there was a big decline in collaboration, that there was in general a big decline over the
Definitely.
Now, what we are here to discuss, and I would like also to that the people who's kindly listening to us would think about this. Now, the big question is, what is next? And about what is next, I have 3 big ideas, in my opinion. 3 opinions. I have 3 bullet points I want to make. First of all, one of the words which is now important on the web is credibility. Once you go too far, once you have that Crocs, which are usually known as very cheap shoes, which are devoted for a specific use, they can go up to 1,000 and probably more, just because somebody else is co-branding them. The consumer, the average consumer, becomes skeptical, but the more than average consumer start double thinking about what is going on, actually what the hell is going on. And is it true that these things were done for people who have money? But it's also true that people with money is becoming more and more educated in consumption, and the very act of buying something just to show it off is declining. More and more people. There is a beautiful book. There is a beautiful book of a fantastic writer about this. Her name is Elizabeth Carrick. The book is The Sum of Small Things, which is explaining how consumption patterns are changing in the United States. So now, if you want to tell a story, it's not just enough to provoke, it's not just enough to co-brand, it's not just enough to blend different brands, but you need to be credible. You need to add substance to the narrative you are proposing. And substance usually means quality. So that's why more and more, a larger number of customers, educated and with money, is now turning to bespoke. But I want to go back to this. The second point, you buy less and less because you want to show off what you just bought, but you buy because you want to build your own personality. As a friend of mine, as his motto on his file, build your own style. But it's not building your own style, as you taught me years ago. It's to build your own personality, your own perspective on looking at things. And it's like to build your own filter, and through this filter, you can interpret what people is offering you. That's another problem. So you can't fool people every time, as the American would say. And it's not enough right now to offer the super fancy collab, let's say Supreme with Vuitton. You need something more. You need something deeper. You need a different universe of meanings, and also you need to persuade people that what you are doing is long term. It's not just something that you're gonna burn in 1 or 2 seasons. This leads me to my third point. This coronavirus, it's a tragedy. We are Italians. You come from the north. You are paying in a dramatic way the consequences of what is going on right now. This is not the place to discuss this. But I did extremely appreciate the profile. I know that is unelegant, but I will take the responsibility of this. Let me mention you and Fabio Attanasio. I really appreciate the lowing down, the low key with which you have managed your own profile during these dramatic days for Italy, for the north of Italy, and for the people working as heroes in the hospitals.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. Thank you very much.
But this is a point, because not all the people have the same kind of sense. Not all the people doing your job share the same sensitiveness. But this is not an over compliment. Otherwise, I don't become credible. So let's stop there. But I want you to focus on this. But what we learned in this tragedy, there is a strong silver lining which I want to share with you. People who are doing your job with a conscience, people who are doing with your job with the awareness of the responsibility of doing this job, are also experiencing something new. That is it true that the web is the first vehicle for fake news, for bullshitting, even of the worst kind? But at the same time, opportunities like this are showing that the web is ready for another kind of cross-contamination. We are not satisfied anymore of having Supreme making luggages with fancy brands. We want to do another kind of self-contamination. We can provide different contents now. We can still play with superficial things, and I'm in love anytime that I see your outfit for pity. But I think that now, if done with responsibility, we are ready for the next step to provide a different kind of content which can still relate it to lifestyle, but to some extent to play in a major league. Because once you build your own style is not just the way you wear a dress, it's not just the way you look at a bespoke shirt rather than an industrial shirt. Is
Wait.
way to approach life. And in this connection, I think that this tragic opportunity may have some fruitful results. I want to be optimistic on this.
Yeah, I'm optimistic too, and I'd like to make some points on the topics you shared with us.
I know I overspoke.
So the first point is about when you were talking about credibility. How digital marketing and web can help brands to enrich or exploit their credibility and their reputation, which is another important word.
Okay, I think that here you know much more than I do, but I have to
Come on.
this. The means becomes an end in the sense that if the brand ambassador is not credible, if it's not consistent, if it's not reliable, there is no way he can transmit these values. So, first of all, if you are a brand who's looking for a strategy for reputation building, pick up someone who is going to be your influencer. Just a second, I have a situation at home with my mother, which compels me to answer this call.
Don't worry, don't worry. Take your time, take your time. Let me see. Wait. Thank you, Thibaut. I really appreciate your support.
Here I am.
Oh, wait. Okay, so we'll be back.
I'm back.
Everything is okay? Everything is okay, man?
Everything is fine.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
So the first thing is personal consistency is the key. And this is something you have to help me in explaining immediately after I'm done, because in the choice you make of brands, in the choice of, in the kind of narratives you are proposing, you must be consistent. Otherwise, people immediately understand that what you're doing is just for money. So they feel fooled. The second thing is, you want to be credible, you have to tell a credible story. Credible story means that your narrative must be based on, I don't know, you have a strong heritage, you want to emphasize quality, you want to emphasize coolness, but you must be clear about which kind of values you want to transmit. This is why in some cases, when for very, sometimes even random reason, your own product is associated with the wrong values, this can be dangerous. I might have two examples here, but this would imply to talk about existing brands, and I don't know whether this is wise to be done. But we all know about examples of wrong choices in which either you had the wrong narrative, sometimes even for the right product, or for some difficult to control dynamics, your product was associated to a certain set of value, you could destroy credibility. And credibility is like a forest. It could take very few seconds to burn it, but then you need centuries to regrow. But I'm asking you, which is your strategy to keep up with consistency and your own credibility in your job?
Actually, I believe that when you were talking about values, I believe values are so much important in order to be consistent and be credible. So I have to thank my family for raising me up with certain values, which I today continue to display in what I do, obviously. And also I have to thank IBM, because prior to Gentleman's Wear Daily, I worked almost 20 years at IBM, which made me the professional I am today. So I'm not talking, only about skills, technical skills, marketing, digital revolution, digital transformation, business operation, people managing, all the things I've done for IBM. I'm thinking about a culture. I'm thinking about a corporate culture, which gave me a way of living, not in everything I do. So those two things combined help me to create my set of values. And my set of values are very transparent, very, you can read them whenever I talk, whenever I do, wherever I wear a bespoke suit, or I'm DJing in a club. So it's about values. It's about values every day. It's about values, especially in periods, in moments, in severe moments like this, because values make the difference, and also culture make the difference. And I'm very hopeful that culture will be the next big thing to save the world in a way. After this big crisis, we know there will be opportunities. We need to step up. We need to provide our family, our digital family, with some interesting and useful and day-by-day insights. And that's why this is one of the reasons I decided to create this Stay at Home with GWD series, because I was not motivated doing the routine I was doing before the crisis. So that's I hope I answered the question.
Can I say something more about this point you raised about what is going to happen after this nightmare we are all trapped in is over? We all experience this during these days, that the power of technology applied in an emergency situation. I teach my classes online. I participate in the defense of dissertation of my students online. I manage my journals online, and so on. But you're right. This is, for the first time, the opportunity for culture broadly intended. I mean, broadly conceived, not just books and culture transmitted through scientific knowledge. Culture to acquire priority on the web. So I'm sure that this will open the door for future development, which are yet to come, but which we can foresee. At the minor level, there are many studies which have been recently published on the relationship between happiness and the use or abuse of social media. And one of the problems which emerged is that there seems to be quite a clear correlation between, I would still call it abuse of Instagram and unhappiness, okay, the opposite of happiness. And this because in some cases, the perfection which you see portrayed on Instagram leads to frustration, to envy, social envy, because you see those beautiful people, you see those perfect abdominals, you see those super fancy cars, you see those super expensive clothes, and yes, I admit, in some cases there is an ostentation done on social media, which can lead to frustration, to a wrong approach to social media. So I accept the conclusion of some of my colleagues. But what now emerged is that the use and the message with which many people doing this job are sending goes completely in another direction. Solidarity, providing social networks, but also in terms of help, shelter, even psychological help, because we have many people living alone in their own houses, and the psychological consequences of living alone sometimes can be even harsher than the physical ones. So again, we will be all compelled to look at our relationship with technology from a different point of view. The ones who will be able, as you did when you started, to surf this wave rather than to have this wave to crash upon us, will be the new lucky ones. Because in my opinion, there will be many opportunities open after this crisis is over.
Okay, I'd like I'd like you to share your view on another topic. I believe it's very taking place within the digital revolution and within the digital marketing communities, which is sustainability. So I would like to understand which could be, again, the help of digital in a broader sense to share this value, this very important value for brands.
Okay, again, this is a slippery field because I should mention concrete example both in the positive side and negative side. I will refrain to mention names in the negative side, and I want to start talking about virtuous examples. People who took sustainability seriously and not just as a badge to put on my jacket and to say, hey guys, I'm greener than you are, so let's buy my stuff. Millennials in general have developed a peculiar attention towards issues of sustainability, which is a universal meaning, because you can be sustainable in terms of natural impact, but at the same time you might not be so fair in how you treat workers. You can treat workers fairly with high wages, but at the same time you might not be so fair in the way you communicate or the way you distribute it. So it's to be 100%, to be all around into a sustainability philosophy is extremely challenging, because it involves a reconsideration of your production practices, or the people who are providing, or your suppliers, so people who are providing raw materials, distribution and communication. So it's a complete philosophy. It's not enough to tell me that you're not using furs, so you're not killing animals anymore, but at the same time you are exploiting parallel channels of distribution, which sometimes are connected to illegal channels. It's not enough. You have to, once again, you have to be coherent, and you have to be consistent. Two excellent examples. Let me just mention Patagonia has invested so much money, and they've done such a huge amount of serious work at all levels, from communication, from workers' benefits, raw materials that they are using, recycling, which right now they are the raw model to be followed. many others. I mean, there have been many. The Camera della Moda and the green carpet is doing a lot in this direction, and I think that even in Italy, the obvious example is Brunello Cucinelli, but it's not the only one, are doing an excellent job. Brunello Cucinelli is a person who's extremely careful in combining the attention on the product on the one hand, but they extremely care in creating a community of workers where the idea of sustainability has both a social, economic, and natural impact. So we have several good examples. But the other side of the coin is that it's our own responsibility as university professors, as people who are teaching, to educate customers. We always think about sustainability as something which relies on the people who produce it. But you need, first of all, you can have a supply, but you need to educate demand. What are you doing to educate in schools? What are you doing to educate people to look at the tag of the sweater they are buying? Do they know what they are buying? Do they know what is a sweatshop? Do they know where their sneakers are made? Do they know how their sneakers are made? Do they know the economic conditions under which certain products are made? Because if you have more and more people who are educated to appreciate this, then of course this will be a further incentive for sustainability to become a real key in the market. Third and last point, you have to make sustainability affordable. Otherwise, it's just a game for the elite. This is the problem that sometimes I have to face in the United States. Oh, please buy organic. Yes, of course, I can buy organic. But what about the guy who works at the grocery store? Who can afford to go to Whole Food, which at my time was the big chain for organic food? I don't know. I haven't been in the United States over the last 5 years, so maybe things are so fast there, but all food is still big. So who can afford to do that? What have you done to make what is sustainable affordable? I'm happy that Gucci is not killing foxes or bears or any other form of, well, Gucci just to name one, but there are dozens. But to what extent you are making some products more affordable? You have to create a conscience, you have to create a demand for sustainability, but at the same time you also have to make possible, you have to make affordable these products to the mass. Otherwise it will only be a little game, some kind of snobbery for educating people. No, the real revolution must start from the bottom and then going up, not the other way. It's dangerous. It's a form of snobbery.
Yeah, definitely. Let me see if there are some questions or.
I can't see. So if you can see the
No,
question.
I'm reading. I'm trying to read. Let me see. Wait, I have problems. No. Okay, so no question at the moment. Sorry, guys, but I'm not so used to this kind of Instagram live series. I'm getting used because this is the third episode, and on Friday there will be the fourth, so I'm getting used. Give me, I mean, you told us you are a professor. You told us you you had these classes at Cattolica University in Milano, and I've been part of these classes, telling my story, sharing my experience with your students. And one of the things I really liked the most was about the team being so international, the team being even so young, but very, very, with solid values. So can you bring us some of your teaching experience? I mean, why do you like to teach? Why? Which are the payback? I mean, sometimes I believe certain type of jobs are strictly related to passion. Mine is one of the example, but I believe also teaching is very related to passion. So sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's very demanding, but I believe it's also I mean, you feel so good when you have those kind of classes and those kind of students which are very interactive and gives you a lot of satisfaction. So if you can bring us some kind of insights from your teaching experience.
Let me start with two jokes, more anecdotes than jokes.
Okay.
When I used to live in the United States, I had two problems in translating what I wanted, the meaning that I wanted to convey in Italian into English. First of all, there was a word which was impossible to translate into English, which is the Italian faccendiere, because the Americans can understand lobbyist, but there is a subtle difference, not so subtle, between faccendiere and lobbyist, which only the Italians can appreciate about this. But leaving this on the side, the word which the difference which I cannot exactly convey in English is the difference in Italian between lavoro and mestiere. I think that what the two of us we are doing is a mestiere. It's something which has to still do with craftsmanship, and it's a continuous learning by doing. And in this learning by doing, in this recipe, the fundamental ingredient is passion. So yes, teaching is a mestiere, it's not a job. I wouldn't consider my job. Going back to your question, I've been extremely lucky because I have several lives which are overlapping. I'm full professor in Palermo, which is a beautiful place, which is a fantastic city, but which offers a peculiar social dimension, which, for instance, I don't find in Milan, where I teach in Cattolica, or I don't find in Rome, where I teach in Louis. So first thing, teaching allows me to open several doors, several windows, and to look at what is going on in Italy, not just in Italy, with different perspectives. What I do find in the new generation, and why I am optimistic about new generations, I find two things. First of all, the idea of being all part of a digital community has a dual effect, which appears contradictory, but is not. On the one hand, breaks down the traditional barriers, because even if I'm from Pakistan, I have two students from Pakistan in Palermo. Even if I'm from India, even if I'm from Poland, we all share this community which technology brings me available, and which allows me to have a look at what is going on in your place. I'm teaching online right now. So one of my students is in India, and she gives us a daily update about what is going on in India. Another student, she's Indian, but she lives in Germany in a relative's apartment. So now she's giving us a daily update of what is going on in India. So the idea of sharing a means, this is McLuhan. Means of communication sometimes provide content. The fact of sharing the same means allows us to be part of the same community. At the same time, and this is the reverse, almost opposite effect, I become so proud of my culture that I can share with you my culture, even if this culture is foreigner to you. And to some extent, the fact of being of a different culture becomes my business card with which I'm introducing myself when I meet you. For instance, I have a student from Russia, and it's always challenging. It's always challenging because she is very proud of how her government is coping with this emergency. Another student from Armenia, and they're still patriotic, but not in interpreting patriotism as opposed to, but in a respect of a pluralism, which for my generation, which we still had the Berlin Wall, was something that we had to conquer over years. The second thing is the general level of education is improving everywhere. I'm impressed by the CV of my students in Cattolica, but I can say the same also about Palermo and Rome, with differences, of course. I cannot deny that each institution has its own peculiarity. I'm not going to deny this because it wouldn't be intellectually honest. But in general terms, almost everyone now speaks fluently a second language, and this is something which was far from being normal for my generation. Almost everyone had the opportunity, thanks to the Erasmus program, of having the opportunity of spending at least a semester abroad. And in my opinion, it is very wrong that United Kingdom, as a consequence of Brexit, did cut out the universities, the UK universities, from the Erasmus program. Because, having youngsters, having new generations to travel and to exchange is the best way to forge new managers, new decision makers. So I find this kind of attitude kind of provincial, which is awkward because we grew up with the idea that United States and England were the most far away countries from being provincial. I find it provincial. So my general outlook about the future is extremely positive. It's extremely positive because I really trust the new generation. What I'm concerned about is the outlook about inequality. We are improving our human capital all over the world. At the same time, our distribution of resources is on a daily basis getting more unequal. This is unequal in Italy, where you have the South and the North who are still struggling over scarcity of resources, and even more dramatic all over the world. All over the world means not just Africa. Yesterday, I was reading the newspaper, and my church in New York, my church, St. John's the Divine, the biggest Catholic church in the world, had to be transformed into an emergency hospital because the healthcare system in the United States, which is mostly private, is not only just non-efficient, but also in numerical terms is not adequate to cope, to face an emergency of these dimensions. Again, when this crisis is over, we will all have the opportunities of think twice about our life, but we should also start from a very simple thing that we all know now, that we cannot leave to the market the possibility of ruling every aspect of our life. In my opinion, without being political in what I'm saying, we should, and United States, for certain aspects, they have a higher responsibility because they lead the Western world for many aspects. to rethink about what in a digital era, in a contemporary era, what we think, how we consider quality of life. And back to the basic point, we start thinking and talking about our own style of life. Now it's time to rethink what we do, how we do define quality of life.
Okay, thank you very much. We have a question and we have 3 minutes to go, so
Okay.
I ask you if you can be...
Good. I can't see, so you have to tell me what the question is.
Yes, so what advice does you give to your student as far as future jobs in these fields? Which kind of advice you give to your students in economics and luxury management, and we can say also digital marketing or digital activities supporting?
I give two, I have just two suggestions, which in general do work pretty well. First, look at Italy. We all love to go out to think about our future in Manhattan, in a skyscraper in Dubai. But try to look at carefully what Italy has to offer. Our common friend Matteo Bozzalla found a Sleeping Beauty. What is a Sleeping Beauty? The brand Valstar, which was basically left non-operative for years, was a Sleeping Beauty. With money, but also with brain, with smartness, with the ability to manage, it could resurrect a brand and to bring it back to the place it deserves. There are many Sleeping Beauties in Italy. There are many opportunities. And oddly enough, I think that there is more floating capital of people available to invest than we commonly think. Second point, going back to craftsmanship. If you count just in Florence, but I would also say Milan, I would also say Rome, the number of bespoke tailors which have re-emerged from nowhere over the last 10 years. If you see the success that Crimi has obtained in Palermo, if you see the growing demand for bespoke ties, for shoes, for things like this from wealthy countries, this is another niche